So injuries aren't fun. No one likes them. We all hate when our favorite players are injured, but it's a part of the sport. It's a part of, really life. I could literally walk down the street, slip, and, tailbone gone. I walk with like a hunch now for the rest of my life. But obviously, Madden injuries, they're always hit or miss. Some people will tell you, hey, put them on 30 sliders, blah, blah, blah. We're going to max out the damn slider today. We've got the injuries at 100. I looked at it while it was in-game, and it said 0 basically disables injuries, whereas 100 will make you disabled, I guess, while also making all of our players on our team 1 injury and 1 toughness. Now, the reason why I even want to do this video, I've done this, multiple times in the past, and I've wanted to see in the past if there was actually career-ending injuries still, where they actually did have, I think it was fractured vertebrae, I believe, where your player would literally have a career-ending injury. I've had it happen 1 time in the history of playing franchise, and it was actually like, I think a decent rated player. I can't remember exactly, but I know for a fact it actually physically happened to one of my players while I was playing in a franchise. This was before I did YouTube. This is when I just played franchise, literally so many hours with friends. I mention every once in a while. It's a rare occurrence, a rare story, so here's an Easter egg for you. But me and my friends would literally, like every weekend pretty much, do a fantasy draft franchise, and we'd spend like 6 hours. Like, we'd get through a season or 2 every weekend. And then, like, after maybe season 4 or 5, we'd do it all over again, like, every week. Looking back, it was fun, but at the same time, holy crap, it did not take me much to be satisfied back then. I'll tell you what. But let's go into this one. I want to actually see how many players can be injured at one time. See, kind of how crazy the injuries are. But like I was saying, the main reason why I wanted to do this video is because I have a player that is injured in the Seattle Seahawks franchise coming up a little bit later today, and because it was off of a sim play, I didn't actually get to see them injured, so I had to kind of do what I'm doing now in the game to try to get a screenshot for them. But it was weird, as all the players around me were getting injured, despite that player not, even though he was down to 11 injury and 11 toughness. So I don't know how the hell that happened, but it just did. I had it changed in this slider. See, 100 injury. Modify this. A game setting of 0 will disable them entirely. So there's that. I'm expecting injuries. I just want to play 1. I don't think any injuries would happen yet. Everyone is completely healthy. Let's see what happens after just 1 play. I'm going to keep this in play because, well, I kind of want chaos, all right? I don't even want to hit stick someone. I just want to get a regular hit. Just a simple, that's pretty basic. There's, not a whole lot going on there. Was anyone injured? No? Everyone's healthy? That's shocking. So I'm used to doing rebuild mode, and I realize that the injuries are off. But coming back into it, it's raining, so it's going to be even crazier. Everyone's ACLs now belong to the stadium. It is going to get disgusting out here, one could assume. And who the hell did I just dive with? Was that the punter? Was that the punter? All right. There's already some injuries. Back problems left and right. How many players got injured? Cunningham was the only one, really. I also, actually, this is a good point. I wonder if you can have more than 1 player injured, because I know if I simmed it, a lot of players would get hurt. But if we actually play, how many people can get hurt? Huge hit on Barkley. So Autry is injured, and he's shaking even. Did anyone else get injured? No one else. So if 1 more injury happens here, and it's the only injury on the play, I'm going to concur that just like flags, you can only have 1 injury per play. Which is, okay, this formation's also ridiculous. You got freaking Simmons on the edge. You can see yet another player was injured. If he's the only injured player, I also don't know why the hell. No, actually, I do know why I'm looking at their team, because with that injury on 100, they will still get injured. Trust me. So, 1 player injured per play. We're going to skip 1 play. We're going to sim 1 singular play. We gain a bunch of yards. My game is, like, not allowing me to pause or something here. Is Is the game's coding now injured as well? And boom! There is 3 more injuries on our team, 1 for their team. I actually think you might, if you sim to the end of the game, lose every player. Oh, it's done it again, dude. I think it has something to do with the injuries, though, because obviously, look at them, and they're literally dead on the field. There's a guy that's frozen. Oh, there they go. He was frozen coming onto the field. But, yeah, I think it might be due to the injuries, because obviously I do sims in rebuilds all the time, and nothing like that happens. Like, I'm stuck in camera pan mode. This happens in what is it called? The Gauntlet all the time, which literally kills the run. I'm surprised it even fixes in this case. Even when I'm holding A, nothing does it. And as you can see, that list is massive, dude. It's literally the entire team. Obviously, they're not dead injuries. That'll be a season. This'll be some time. Everything else looks pretty... Oh, that's really bad. I didn't notice that. Really bad, but a lot of the other ones, not so bad. Even with 1 toughness. So naturally, to see the carnage, we're going to skip a quarter. I just wonder if we can actually have a full team of injured for the season guys or not. Let's see where we're at now. Oh my, it's not really getting crazier worse, but their team, okay, so we have a lot of out for the games here. A broken wrist doesn't sound too good. Theirs don't seem as bad as ours, though, because like we said, we have a couple of potential seasoners. That's like basically a season. That is a season. You know, dislocated shoulder, I think, will be more than a game. I just want to see it. Let's go to the end of the game, see what we're rocking. Yeah, I wonder if there's a maxed amount of players that can get injured. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just using common sense. Yeah, you got 8 injuries on both teams here. Just using common sense, the chances of only having 8 when it seemed like we were losing 3 players each side every sim, and for it to land on 8 both sides, would, I mean, that'd just be astronomical. It seems like you can only have 8 players injured in one game for either side. But as far as long-term injuries go, like we said, only 2, and surprisingly, not even close to season ending. Hamstring tear, only 6. Upper arm fracture, only 3. These boys are tough. I like it. Theirs, on the other hand, 5 and 7. Just like I imagine our record will be when we sim some more. Let's take a look at the injury report after that. No new injuries. We have the injury sliders on max with our injuries on 1. I feel like I've had this issue before, but do sim injuries not exist? So when everyone's like, you know, I mean, not everyone, but a few people complain every once in a while about, you know, not having injuries on. Is this like there's no injuries? So it doesn't even matter. They're like rare as hell anyways. Might have to go into each game, sim to the end, and see what happens, because as you can see here, there are 0 injuries. I will check just in case for some reason the main game sliders are wrong about that 100% injury thing. I'm going to change it to see what happens. So it could be coincidence, but I put it on 0, and we and of a bunch of other teams have injuries now. So it seems the terminology is actually conflicting in their own video game. Their own game. They choose the terminology. You guys seen it. I showed it. So, injuries, it is lower equals more injuries. Although, you guys seen the terminology in-game when you're actually playing. It said 0 disables them. Unless that joke I made earlier was actually true and they meant, like, it physically disables them, puts them in a wheelchair. Yeah, incorrect. Does this team need, like, a permanent umbrella over the stadium? Wanted to go back in to see how many injuries we can incur. That's the one. Yeah, there we go. I think. I don't know. With the sliders changed, assuming, once again, they don't conflict again, but team's going to win, despite being probably the most injury-prone team in the league. Let's see what we got. And nothing. So, is it conflict? I don't even know anymore. Is it conflicting? Because it's like, out of sim, it's supposed to be, you know, 0. So that is strange. Because it's not just coincidence, right? Like, we all can tell that the moment I change it to 0 outside of, you know, in the menus, we got injuries. The league got injuries. When they were at 100, there was no injuries. So, accidentally exposing the game again. And we're not even talking about, the fact that the game doesn't have concussions. And with me being the sick, evil person that I am, I want to see more injuries, so I will be going into each of these games and simming to the end with the proper 100 injury slider set and show you guys any disgusting season-ending injuries that we may see. Yep, there they go. Anything crazy? Broken collarbone, partial ACL tear has got to be pretty close to the season, if not the season. Sorry, other team, that you're a part of this, but there's a bunch of pulls and tears there. 3 new injuries, a bunch of long-term ones again. Not the highest of overalls, though. Ooh, a foot fracture. We're adding up to these. Well, actually, those are already there. So, I actually wonder if we get to 8 if we can't be injured anymore. So, I don't think it's actually possible to fully injure your team. So, we are at 9 injuries. So, in theory, you can go past 8. But maybe it's 8 in that specific game? I don't know, but we're going to keep going because, once again, I have no soul. Yeah, I believe it only shows 8 injuries, but I think it is tracking more than 8, if I'm not mistaken. Because we entered the game with 9, but it only shows 8. Unless my math sucks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think you have more than 8 injuries, but it only shows 8. So there's that solved. Because as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom. So it's nearly the end of the season. I have not seen an actual end of season injury. I don't know if there actually is one. It might just be like, 10 weeks, 15 weeks, and then depending on where the season is, you do the math. You're the medical guy and the calendar guy. So I tried to make us as injured as possible, and at season's end, we have 6 players. So there's that. Career-ending injuries don't exist. Season-ending injuries barely exist. Concussions we don't talk about. Under the rug it goes. And apparently you can only see 8 injuries in a game each side, but you can have more than that. So very interesting things have been learned. I feel like we're dumber for knowing them. That's it. See ya.